Hello everybody, this is me Amin, and behind me is a Mercedes-Benz EQS SUV. It costs 700,000 ringgit. It has a 108 kilowatt hour battery. It goes from 0 to 100 in 4.6 seconds. The question, and I've taken it for an extensive test drive. I've taken it on-road, off-road, high speed, low speed, put 7 people in the car. Now the question is this car worth the money? Why? Because currently there are a lot of competitors in the same price bracket, in the same luxury bracket, in the same performance bracket as this Mercedes-Benz. So would you get this or another car? Come and join me on a ride and let's find out together. Let's go! Alright, before we go on a test drive, let's talk a little bit more about the specifications of the EQS SUV. Now, what I didn't mention earlier was that this car has a dual motor setup. That means it's all-wheel drive. And it comes with 22-inch all-terrain tyres. That means Mercedes designed this car to be taken off-road. On top of that, it also has full air suspension that you can raise up and down. So we're gonna go take this car off-road, and I'm gonna talk about that a little later. But I wanna tell you about the performance. This car has performance. 535 horsepower, 858 Newton meters of torque, 0 to 100 in just 4.6 seconds, and a top speed of 210 kilometers per hour. This car is no slouch, but is it a performance car beater? Can it drive like a performance car? We'll find out later. Now, talking about power, there's also the battery. It has a huge 108 kilowatt hour battery that gives it a range of about 600 kilometers on a full charge. You can charge this car at home using a 22 kilowatt AC charger or a 200 kilowatt DC charger. Now, I get a lot of questions. People ask me, okay, I mean, how much is it going to cost me to charge this car at home? So if you're charging this car at home from 0% to 100%, using 22 kilowatts, and you're paying the maximum home rate of 57 cents per kilowatt, it's about 65 to 70 ringgit to charge the car from 0 to 100. And giving the car a range of 600 kilometers on a single charge, I think that's money worth spent. How long does it take to charge? Well, on 22 kilowatts, it's about maybe 5 hours. So it's more than enough if you charge it overnight. Alright, we talked about the specs. Now let's talk about the exterior. This car, obviously Mercedes has designed it to be taken off-road. It has off-road mode, all-wheel drive, all-terrain tyres, air suspension. So it's designed to be taken off-road. And if you recall, a lot of Mercedes SUV like the GLE, the GLS, even the GLB and the G-Wagon, all of them look very manly, very butch, no nonsense cars that you can definitely take off-road. But with this one, I'm not a fan of the curvy, aerodynamic, pebble-shaped, smooth-looking design of the EQS. Okay, that's pretty much it about the exterior. Let's go inside. Alright, while I don't agree with Mercedes on the outside, on the inside, I totally agree with Mercedes. This car is a lap of luxury. Central to the Mercedes EQS SUV driving experience is this MBUX hyperscreen. It consists of 3 displays, a 12.3-inch here for me, monitors all my speed and everything. On the passenger side, there's another 12.3-inch touchscreen, and in the middle is a 17.7 OLED touchscreen display. And this display is not a gimmick. It has this mode called Energizing Comfort, and when you drive in Energizing Comfort, it really changes the driving experience. On top of that, you get a spacious front passenger compartment. The second row is really spacious too. The leather is soft and supple, and you are cocooned in this 15-speaker Bergmeister 710 watt sound system that truly sounds amazing. To add on to the luxury, you get real wood finishing on the center console and everywhere else in the car. You get soft leather upholstery up top and a soft leather steering wheel. So there's a lot of space in the car. The front is very comfortable and the rear passenger, especially in the second row, is the same. Let's check it out. Alright, luxury continues in the second row of the EQS SUV. You get two 11.6 touchscreen displays that also have HDMI input, so you can plug in your Suka stick or whatever that you want and you can play any content on these two monitors. On top of that, we have an armrest that also hides a tablet that serves as a control for anything you need to do in the car. Beyond the screens that you have here, you also have a digital air conditioning control right here. You have air vents here and air vents on the sides, left and right. And the biggest highlight about the second row of the EQS SUV is this: look at how much space I have. So this seat is already set up for my driving position, and just look at the knee room. That's about 6 inches. Look at the headroom. It's really spacious here. And with a lot of EVs, you have this problem with a raised floor because the battery is down there. But in the EQS SUV, it's not an issue. You are welcome with this very large panoramic sunroof with blinds, and because of that you have this massive headroom up top. I'm not a small guy, but this car makes me look like I'm a small guy. So while the first and second row passengers are in utmost luxury being inside the EQS SUV, the same can't be said for the people in the third row. So this car is essentially a 7-seater, but you can see later that 7-seater is a bit of a stretch. While the front row and second row passengers are wrapped in luxury, the third row passenger not so lucky. And before I can even access the third row, I need to do this. Bruh. I have to remove all this stuff and then lift up the seats. And it's not easy. I'm going to show you how to do it. In its current configuration, you see here, you get about 645 to 880 liters depending on how far forward or how far back the second row seats are. When all of the seats are folded down, you get a whopping 2,100 liters of storage space. But when the third row seats are up, your boot space is limited to only 195 liters. Okay, after all that hard work, I've gotten the third row seats up. They look nice, the leather seat look good, there's cup holders, there's twin USB ports here, there's 2 more USB ports there, you even have AC vents for the third row passengers. But my job is not done. Now I have to move these seats so that I can get to the back. And all this is electronically operated. These are all electric seats. So I press the button here. And here's the problem. The front seats have to move together with the second row seat. That means the front row passenger, the driver has to get out for the third row passenger to get in. Right, I'm gonna go in. It's not easy. Okay, I'm in. And as you can see, this is pretty much how much knee room I have. There's still a lot of headroom, but like I said, front row, second row, you're wrapped in luxury. But when it comes to accessing the third row, it's only maybe for kids on really short journeys. Alright, who cares what happens to the third row passengers? I'm the driver. Let's go for a drive. So now that I'm driving the car, what I can tell you in one word is this: the EQS SUV is a really comfortable car to be in. EVs in general are very stiffly sprung because the battery is heavy. And in this car, the battery is really heavy because it's really big. It's over 100 kilowatt hours. But because of the air suspension, it makes the ride really smooth. So going long distance in this car, with the range that you can get about 600, 550 kilometers, 600 kilometers easy, driving at highway speeds, it's not a problem. You can basically drive the EQS SUV like a normal car, not worry about range anxiety. Then we have the performance. 530 plus horsepower, over 850 Newton meters of torque. That is crazy impressive. It goes from 0 to 100 in 4.6 seconds, up to a top speed of 210 kilometers per hour. It's over 5 meters long, 2.8 tons in terms of weight. You don't feel the speed, and it's crazy how quickly you can break the highway speed in this car, and it doesn't take a lot of pedal effort either. So in this respect, the EQS SUV is a very competent highway cruiser. But on the flip side of being a performance car, like I mentioned, while it has performance numbers, it does not behave like a performance car. Number one is because it's so heavy, 2.8 tons. No self-respecting performance car will say that, it's going to drive and handle well with that much weight to carry around. Number two is the brakes. I know that this problem is clearly evident in the Audi e-tron I recently drove, but it's also pronounced in this car. You feel like you're disconnected to the braking system. The car can go so quick, accelerate so fast, and when you want it to brake on a dime, you lose all confidence. You can't depend or count on the brakes to be able to stop you in time. And that's the biggest concern I have with this car. So adding to that, you don't know whether you are doing the brakes or if the brakes are directly connected, or whether it's a combination of both. So like all EVs, there is regenerative braking on this. The motor will slow you down, but the transition between when the motor stops and when the physical brakes actually slow down the car is very vague. And for me, because this car encourages you to drive fast because it's so effortless, that is very disconcerting. And while we're on the performance aspect, this car is so heavy, it doesn't like to be thrown into corners. And I have the same problem with the Audi e-tron RS GT that I drove in Sepang. Electric cars just don't like to be thrown into corners. And I'm sure you'll say, but this is an SUV, it's not a sports car. That's true, but this car has a sport mode, and it has sports suspension settings, sports steering settings, sports accelerator setting. So having that means you should have fun driving the car. But I feel so disconnected. The steering is disconnected, the brake is disconnected. Only thing I like is the acceleration. It's so effortless. Speaking about the steering wheel, the other thing I like about this car is the four-wheel steering. So you have up to 10 degrees of rear wheel movement, and that makes a huge difference. So this car, again, is 5 meters long. It has a 3 meter long wheelbase. It's a huge car. It fits 7 people with luggage. But with the four-wheel steering, especially when you're off-roading, when you're at a tight parking space, when you're parking, when you're making a U-turn, maneuvering this car is really effortless, and I really like that. So I guess in this respect, the EQS SUV is not much of a sports performance vehicle, and it's more of a cruiser that you can cruise around in town at very low speeds and be very comfortable in it, and you can cruise with it at highway speeds with no problems as well. So if you need to characterize the car on road, that's how it feels driving the EQS SUV. Speaking about highway speeds, another issue I have is with the Cooper all-terrain tires that come with this car. At highway speeds, when you're reaching 120, oops, am I breaking a law there? So when you're reaching above 110 kilometers an hour, it does get very noisy in this cabin. They are not EV specific tires, and because of that, they are quite noisy. But I guess that goes without saying. All-terrain tires are like that because they have extra threads so that you can take them off-road. So maybe if you're not taking this car off-road, you might want to change the tire to more street or road specific usage rather than all-terrain. Okay, talking about the car being a GT Cruiser, this car is designed for you to travel long distances with it. It even has this, there's this thing called energizing comfort, and when you press, there's different energizing programming that you can see. You have refresh, warmth, vitality, joy, well-being. So you can choose all these different settings, and the screen and ambient lighting will follow that setting. Even the massage and the aroma of the car changes to match what you've set. While the air suspension really helps when you're going off-road, you can adjust the ride height and it really softens the bumps because this is an EV and it's really heavy, and generally EVs are very stiffly damped. I find that the air suspension is a bit slow when reacting to different road conditions. So sometimes it can get stiff, sometimes it can get wallowy when you expect it to be stiff because you're driving fast, it gets a bit wallowy. When you want it to be soft and wallowy because you're off-road or because there's a lot of bumps on the road, it's a bit stiff. So it's in between when it comes to the air suspension. But what I like about it is it's self-leveling, so when you load up the car with 7 people and luggage, or when you take it off-road, it sorts itself out quite well. But again, when you want to drive the car spirited and really match the performance that the car can deliver, that's where the EQS struggles. This car interior is luxurious, very comfortable, air suspension really good, very comfortable. But it's a mixed bag when it comes to the quality aspect of the car. So again, when you're paying more than $500,000 for a car, you expect close to perfection. The thing is, some of the quality aspects in the car, so let's say this portion here, I don't know whether you can pick this up, but you can, that definitely doesn't sound like it's 700,000 ringgit. And this material here, very scratchy, not as velvety as I would expect. So all these small niggles, although they're small things, because nobody plays with this all the time, it bothers you because you're paying so much for a car. Right, I'm going to demonstrate to you how easy it is for us to get to crazy speed. So I'm doing 90 now. We go 3, 2, 1. And this is not even in sports mode. And in less than 5 seconds, we're already doing 180 kilometers per hour. And I'm talking to you in normal mode. I don't even have to raise my voice. The problem is the brakes are really not direct, and I have a concern with that. So again, it's so easy for me to go full speed on this. It's so easy for me to go 180, 190, 200 on any road. But that at the back of my mind, I'm not sure whether the brakes are going to have me when I need them. So I'm doing 130 now. Let's go to 180 by the end of this stretch. 1, 2, 3, 4. In 4 seconds, I'm already 190, 200, no problems. But the brakes, man. I'm not confident with the brakes, but to my point, even at these crazy speeds, The car is really comfortable. It's just the wind noise and the tire noise that you can hear. It doesn't feel heavy or doesn't feel long or big when you're doing these speeds on the highway, and it's crazy. And because again of the 108 kilowatt hour battery, because of the power, you get about 600-500 kilometers range, no problems. You can go to Penang on a single charge. It has car performance, but it is by no means a performance car. We talk about performance driving, we talk about highway cruising, no problems. We talk about the car has a big battery, 108 kilowatt hours. You can go up to 600 kilometers on a single charge. And my other big gripe with the EQS SUV is efficiency. And I'm not sure whether it's because of the performance or because of the weight, or because of the motors, or because of the shape. But I struggle to get below 20 kilowatt hour per 100 kilometers using the EQS SUV. Even when I'm driving around town and in traffic jam. So usually EVs are the most efficient when you are driving slow around town or in a traffic jam, because you don't use the power, you don't use the battery that much. But in this car, the best I could get driving around town was 18.6 kilowatt hour per 100 kilometers. So maybe if you are light-footed, or if you have the car on eco mode, because I have it mostly in comfort mode, and I have to say, I'm not a light footer, I'm not a heavy footer either, but I do struggle to get high efficiency in terms of driving. When I was driving my EV6, if I'm driving hard, yeah, it'll hit 20 kilowatt hour per 100 kilometers, 22. But I can easily get it to 18 or even 15 if I wanted to, if I drive really smoothly and not press on the accelerator too much. But on this car, even when I'm trying hard, the best I could get was 18.6 kilowatt hour per 100 kilometers. But having said that, what I'm trying to say is this car is not as efficient as I would like. So even with the big battery, if the efficiency is better, the car can go farther. Okay, that's pretty much it when it comes to driving the car on road. I did also mention that the EQS SUV is capable off-road as well, because Mercedes has equipped the car with an off-road mode, with all-terrain tyres, air suspension, and can this car really go off-road? Let's go and find out. So I talked about how sorted this car is as a GT Cruiser on the highway, and you can go effortlessly, really fast, no problems. The other amazing thing about the EQS SUV is that Mercedes has equipped this car to go off-roading. Maybe not full-on mud trekking, but you can take it off-road, and as you can see, I am now in a off-road section. There is a trail, but it is quite challenging, and most of the time you take a four-wheel drive for this section. You are not going to take a 700,000 ringgit EV off-roading. But because of the all-terrain tires, the air suspension, the four-wheel steering plus all-wheel drive, and off-road mode, I'm going to show you that you can take this car off-roading. So we are going off-roading. I've already turned on the off-road mode. I'll raise the suspension. So here you can raise the suspension. You can even set to this. This is DSR. I forgot what it's called, but it's like descent control, hill descent control. I won't use that. I will turn off the parking sensor, and then I will turn on the transparent hood, so you can see what lies in front of you without having to crane your neck to see what's ahead. I would rate this trail as maybe 4 or 5 in terms of the challenge degree, and we will get to a quite challenging crossing later, and you'll see whether this car can do it or not. And because of the air suspension, The ride is very supple. It's very nice actually. The other benefit is four-wheel steering. So in this trail, there will be some sharp turns and there will be some places where I have to turn back, and the four-wheel steering really helps. And there's like some muddy section that we will go through, and that helps. The tires help with the grip, no issues at all. So you can see here we are going over some rough obstacles, and the transparent hood shows that, okay, can I avoid a rock? Can I avoid a deep ditch so that I don't get caught out? And the other thing, I can tell you the camera, the 360 camera on the Mercedes is really accurate, really precise, and really high def. So I find myself driving this car, whether off-road or on-road, especially during when I'm parking or when I'm maneuvering the car, depending on the camera, more than I depend on the mirrors. So that's how good the cameras on the Mercedes-Benz EQS SUV is. So you can see there's like a puddle hole there, and there's some deep longkang section, so I'm going to avoid that. And I'm just using the cameras for this. You can see that the four-wheel steering works really well. So there's a really deep longkang section up ahead. You can see that here in the hood. So I'm going to turn the wheel to the left a bit. And the air suspension copes really well with this. It just makes you level. Very easy, no problems. So when you increase speed, the camera angle changes. So there's another, so I'll slow down so that we turn on the hood again. So there's another deep ditch at the front here. There, and I'm not looking straight. I'm just looking at the transparent hood, and I am so confident that there's no issues. The thing I regret, or the thing that is an opportunity missed here with the EQS, is that it doesn't have V2L and it doesn't have utility mode, so you can't actually use it for camping like you can with other EVs like the EV6 for example. Okay, we're coming up to a somewhat challenging section here. I don't have confidence whether we are going to pass this, but let's just try. Let's see how the Cooper tires hold up to this, and let's see if the all-wheel drive system works. So if you can look at the transparent hood, and I can feel, yep, I can feel the tires sliding. Yep, it's sliding all over the place, but under control, and the four-wheel steering is working very well. And there we go, we passed that section. Okay, we've come to the end of the trail. Now the other thing I want to show is how maneuverable this car is. So this is very tight for a 5-meter long car, but because of the four-wheel steering, it's very easy to make a U-turn. Again, I trust the parking sensors, I trust the cameras completely. Probably the easiest off-road 3-point turn I've ever made. Okay, we're now going back again in this challenging ditch. So this trail is actually more challenging the way back rather than the way going. So we're here again. Let's see how it goes. Sliding a bit. 2.8 tons. There, you can feel it sliding. But the rear suspension, the rear wheel steering is so good that I don't have any problems. So I'll just wallow here for a bit, and yeah, just show how good this car is. I'm crabbing there, basically. That's how much slip I have, but the car is just, the traction is so good. despite having over 530 horsepower, and because of the 858 Newton meters of torque, it's just so easy for you to trudge along at very slow speed without needing to like really go heavy on the throttle. So the thing that impresses me the most about the EQS SUV is not the speed, not the luxury, not all that. It's how good and easy it is for you to take it off-roading. So the more impressive thing about this EQS is not the performance, not the 0 to 100 acceleration. It's more of how capable it is going 210 kilometers an hour on the highway effortlessly, how capable it is doing more than 500 kilometers on a single charge with 22 kilowatt AC charging, 200 kilowatt DC charging. All those things are really impressive. It's how it handles these challenging off-road conditions with the air suspension, the nimbleness of the four-wheel steering, the comfort of the air suspension, and the luxury of a S-Class cabin with no effort at all. Just my only gripe: it doesn't have V2L, it doesn't have camping mode, it doesn't have utility mode, so I can't camp inside this car. Or I can't take it to a camping site and camp inside the car. That's the only gripe I have with the EQS when taking it off-road. So when I set out to test the EQS SUV, I wanted to figure out whether the 700,000 ringgit price justifies the car, because that price range is very competitive now. We have the Lotus Eletre, maybe the Taycan if you want, if it's not an SUV, and maybe the EV9 is a better space SUV. But if you want a car that has the range, has the performance, has the luxury, can go fast on a highway, and is competent off-road with comfort, the EQS SUV does it all. Alright, this is me, Amin. Give us a thumbs up if you like the show. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. And do drop us a comment on what you think of the EQS SUV, or if you have any questions about the car. This is me, Amin. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys later. Bye!